Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are making our way through 2021. It is amazing how fast time really goes or flies by or however you want to describe it, right? You know, this past Sunday, I was telling my wife how it felt like how the day just felt so long. And I believe it was the longest day of the year. But not every day feels that way. Not every day feels very long. In fact, many times our days can feel like we don't have enough time. As a preacher, as a Christian, I consider the Word of God often. I teach and study from the Holy Scriptures. The Bible actually says quite a bit about this idea of time. You know, in Ephesians chapter 5, it talks about how we are to redeem the time. And there are so many other examples in Ecclesiastes, a great book for everyone to read. And Ecclesiastes chapter 3, I believe, it talks about that there's a time for everything. There are different seasons, right? A time to laugh and a time to mourn. And when you think about this idea and concept of time, there's something to it. I'm looking at my calendar at this very moment, and I'm looking at the days that I have checked off, and there have been a lot of events that have taken place in each of those days for the most part. It's just fascinating how much emphasis we put on time, and rightfully so, because we all understand that life is short, that today is not promised, or tomorrow is not promised. And I guess we could say today even is not really promised. But I don't know if we always live like that. We know this to be true, but we often think we have more time than we may actually have. We often delay things that can be done today because we figure, well, I will have time tomorrow. I'll have time next week. And then before you know it, we're at the end of a year and we're looking back at the year and we're seeing, well, wait a second. Man, I wish I had more time to get things done. Here's the thing. We have all the time that we need. It really is a matter of handling our time, managing our time, having a plan, having a system. And so I am entering into a new season with this podcast. We are now into season number 3. In season number 1, I had a variety of motivational thoughts dealing with faith, family, fitness, and food. I had numerous people that I interviewed in season number 1. Season number 2, which I just wrapped up, I gave you some of my favorite books that have really impacted me. And so I hope you take some time to consider reading those books. Now for season number 3, I want to really focus upon time. If you're 18 or 20 or 22 or 32, wherever you may be, but in particular to the younger people who may be listening, you may think you have all the time in the world, but you really don't. So every day really counts. How you manage your time now will have a huge impact for the better or for the worse 10 years from now. So be wise with your time. And here's what I want to do in this new season. I really want to provide you with tips and strategies, resources, thoughts, ideas when it comes to managing your time. When it comes to looking at your day, your week, your month, your year. I do not pretend to be an expert. I still have to manage my time. In fact, I was looking at my schedule for this week, and one of the things that I've seen, it's great to be able to get back together with people and to have lunch with people again, but now I see that to really maximize my time, I'm going to have to maybe have lunches later in the week. You see, the thing is, we all have different schedules and priorities or things that have to get done on certain days. And so we need to be wise with how we even plan and say yes to certain things. Sometimes we just may have to say no or not yet. And we need to learn how to figure out the best schedule for ourselves. So I'm going to be diving into these kinds of topics in this season number 3. Let's focus on our time. We all have the same amount of time. Now the question is, what are we going to do with that time? The choice is ours. Stay tuned for more. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you are in the need or looking for more motivation in your life, feel free to check out my website, benjaminlee.blog, where you can find hundreds of encouraging, motivational blog posts on a variety of subjects. You can find all of my books, which can also be found on Amazon.com, and other podcast interviews with a variety of people. I hope this helps. Please leave me a rating and a review. I can do, and so can you. Take care, and God bless.